All right, we are live. I had a little hiccup with my earpiece, but I think I got it back working. And yeah, it is. What is today? Today is. Benjamin just sent me this hilarious picture with his Rudraksha beads that we sent him for his birthday around his neck. Today's the 1st. It's Saturday, so happy Saturday. I'm gonna do something a little different. I had an idea to do a little different start since I started on 420 and show you guys how I get high now. Um, and this is a huge part of my personal path I've found, and kind of the core of my current main spiritual practice, which is my sitting meditation practice. And it is how I get really, really high. And it is what has worked for me. So I thought I'd just share it with you. And I think it actually will feed in with this topic of thinking versus feeling, which I'm going to re-record because the quality was so bad. And so I apologize for that if you were watching or watched it. I do have that video put to private, so if you would like to watch it, just let me know and I can send you the link for it. It's just so laggy. And I wanted to do John Mark's topic justice because I felt like it was a really good one. So I may cover it in a short bit and then do another topic. We'll see. But yeah, I'm going to re-record that, do a little guided meditation up front. And yeah, I got some, you can't see them because I couldn't figure out a way to kind of get them in everything. I got a couple new plant babies, got a little cactus, and these cute little succulents we found at the brothers' greenhouse. So excited about that. Thought I'd show you guys those. And we'll go ahead and get going. I will also post a link if you want to explore much deeper on this topic of using meditation to get really, really, really high. You can go there. It's his name is Ajahn Sona. He's doing these series of talks on what the Buddha taught on the Pali word jhana, which I'll let you unpack that more. But Ajahn Sona is a monk in the forest tradition that I have been playing around in and getting serious in. And he started a monastery, I think 20 or so years ago up in British Columbia. And he does a phenomenal job of taking the Eastern teachings of the forest tradition and communicating them in a way that's really easy to understand from a Western context. And so I'll post a link for that if you want to go deeper. But we'll go ahead and dive into what I kind of do. And I will say that I'm just going to focus on the breath part, what I do with the breath part of getting high. But before I do this, I typically do a kind of check-in with myself, with my body, with my body mind. I do some kind of body scan or just noticing how my body feels, how my mind feels. If my mind's really kind of active and excited, if I'm feeling really sluggish and tired and lacking a lot of energy. And then based on what I need to support my sitting practice, I'll do some stuff to get my mind in a good space before I move into my breathing and how I relate to the breath in meditation, which is what I'm going to focus on. So the first thing I do is I use what I'll call some training wheels I got from Sharon Salzberg. It was a technique that she had that I really liked, of counting the out breaths. And I do this to a count of 10 and then I start over. And if I kind of trail off, I just start back over at 1 as gently as I can. So in breath, I really focus on the coolness of the air coming into my nose. And on the out breath, 1. Now, sometimes if my mind's really excited, I'll even say in my mind in, and then 2 on the out breath. And I'll even kind of like string it out. So I'll go in, and I'll go 3, and then in, 4. And what I'm doing is I'm fine-tuning my concentration. So I'm focusing on concentrating on the way the breath feels. Coming in, and then going out. And it's really cool. You'll notice there's a coolness to it on the end. And then a warmth on the out breath. And a lot of times I'll play even especially if my mind's really excited, I'll play with kind of my imagination. So I'll imagine myself breathing in this like cool, calming mist and filling my head with it. And then on the out breath, I'll do different things. So I think my favorite thing is I'll imagine that breath kind of slowly cascading over my whole body from the top of my head. I'll do that a couple. Let me check real quick and see how the stream's doing. I may need to change a couple things because it looks like it's still not streaming really well. Let's check it out. I thought I had got it fixed. But body from the top of my head. Seems like it's still lagging. Yeah, let me check real quick and see how the stream's doing. Yeah, it looks like it's lagging. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm going to try to change something real quick and see if that helps. Let's see, 750. So I will be right back. Okay. Let's see how that is. think that's going to be better. Stream is healthy, it says. Okay, sweet. Well, sorry, sorry that little intro was real choppy. Let's see, is there anything else I want to say about that or explain? It might be. Uh-oh. It says YouTube is not currently receiving data for this stream. The stream is healthy again. Have to figure this out. It says the stream is poor. This must be an internet issue. What can I do? I really thought it was something I could do different on this side. All right, I'm gonna try to not touch anything and see how it goes. It seems to be working okay right now. Let me mute it here so I'm not hearing myself. And we'll just go with this. Yeah, so that's basically what I do to keep it really simple. I use those training wheels, especially if I'm only doing a 20 to 30-minute sit. I'll use those training wheels of counting the out breaths, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10, and then I start over. And the Buddha has this really beautiful simile of a bird flying for these experiences, or getting into these experiences of deep serenity and bliss. And he basically explains that just as a bird flaps its wings and then can stop and soar, that's a lot of what we're doing in our meditation, where we're applying effort in certain ways to get into these places of deep serenity. We're applying this effort in the form of concentration. And kind of the first thing I will do a lot of times is I'll stir up joy in some respect, and that's part of the kind of prep I do before. And a lot of times I'll do it through some sort of gratitude meditation, and then I'll stay with that feeling of joy, and I'll allow that to kind of give me the energy to move into concentration, and then I will focus on and stay concentrated on the kind of feeling texture of the breath. And as my mind kind of goes into that thinking mode, my returning back and back and back to bringing concentration to the breath is kind of me flapping my wings. And then eventually I get into these deep, serene places, and I can drop the counting because I've developed so much momentum, especially in kind of when I hit 45 minutes to an hour, those longer sits. I don't need the counting anymore because I'm just naturally and intuitively and rhythmically really concentrated on the breath. And then I'm, to use the Buddha's simile, I'm soaring and experiencing all sorts of really wonderful mental states, and what we would call kind of supernatural experiences. Typically, experiences that kind of culturally people only talk about in terms of taking drugs, whether it's, well, I won't even go into that, but yeah, you can get there with right effort. With the right type of effort, you can get there on your own. And it's a really, really nice thing to have once you've cultivated it, because you can practice it and get there whenever you want, because all you need is the breath, and you always have the breath. And so, yeah, I thought I would start there. Started this 420, and two, because um, a lot of what happens when I do this practice is I do move from my thinking mind into my feeling mind. And maybe a better way to say this is I move from my analytical regular stream of conscious thought mind into the mind that is just aware, that is simply aware of what's happening and aware of what's going on, and connected to that experience. And when I'm able to really effectively move into that space of awareness, it allows me to have a different quality of relationship with my thinking mind. And it helps me really know, one, like have a better understanding of and awareness of the things that I am thinking. And also, it gives me a space to exist in, of processing, is this way of thinking helpful? What is kind of the effect of it? What is the effect that thinking these thoughts is having on me? And what is the effect that thinking these thoughts is having on other people? And this is a really important place for me to be in, because I really care about the impact I'm having on myself and on other people. And the more I'm able to fine tune my internal kind of thought life, and the things that I think about, and the way that I process things, the more effective I'm able to be at really being able to ask the right questions and then make the right corrections, along the lines of really seeing what kind of an impact that my actions and my choices are having on myself and others. And I don't really have much of a concept of love that exists outside of that space, outside of are my choices, and is the way that I'm being and showing up in a room, having a positive, generative, healing impact. Do the people in that room actually feel a quality of love that's coming from me, that's making things better? And if not, I don't think I have any business calling what I'm doing love. And I only say that because um, in a lot of spaces in our society right now, this idea of what love is at best really misunderstood, at worst, like heavily diluted. And I think for me, anyways, coming back to being able to really qualify what is this thing called love, and how can I find some kind of pathway to grow in it and develop in it that isn't perfectionistic, where I'm expecting myself to be this perfect person, but also isn't just lackadaisical and super relaxed and carefree to an extreme of carelessness in this idea. And so this creates a certain standard to kind of constantly be asking myself these questions of, you know, is Larissa experience, is that her experience, and there's probably no better person to ask in how I'm doing in that arena and category than her. But then even down to these guys, you know, is is the way that I am being benefiting them? And uh, yeah, so I can unpack all of that, but that is a space where the convergence of the thinking Ryan and the feeling Ryan really come into play, because it does require me to drop out of my analytical mind that's constantly just processing through things conceptually, um, rationally, intellectually, and drop into a place of kind of pure awareness and observation. Um, and I haven't found a way to get there cleanly outside of that practice that I just shared, because it creates this mental state that is, I was explaining it to Larissa yesterday because I had a long sit and got into this internal place that I hadn't been in a long time, and I was kind of reflecting on what that experience was like, and I said it's like when you've been running or exercising and you're all hot and sweaty and you're really thirsty, and you have that glass of cold water and you're excited about it, but then you drink it and it's even more satisfying and refreshing and cleansing than you thought it would be. That's the way it feels, but in my mind. It feels like I'm drinking this really cool, cleansing um, water in my mind, and it's just refreshing me, but also clearing my mind so I can see really clearly, so that anything that's been diluting my ability to kind of perceive things is kind of washed away. And my body's calm, my mind is calm. Um, I'm not experiencing this high level of discontent that's kind of overriding my ability to see clearly, because I'm not craving anything. I'm just able to be with what's happening without adding anything to it. And and yeah, I uh, I'll leave that thought there. I'm gonna wait for like a minute, and I'm starting this new format, and I think I've already talked for longer than 10 minutes. I'll leave that there. hit pause for a minute and see if there's anything else I want to say about thinking versus feeling. Okay, last thing I'm going to say is when I'm in the thinking space, that is that's this space where I'm taking something, whether it's a thought or experience, and I am looking at it through the lens of um, my ideas, my experiences. I'm kind of applying this um, this way of relating to it that is removed. That's the best way I know how to explain the thinking mind, is it's removed. I'm not actually engaged with whatever it is that I'm thinking about in real time. I have taken whatever that thing is and put it into idea land, which isn't a bad thing. It's just not truth. Whatever's going on up here in that land, because it's removed from whatever it is that it's actually thinking about, it's not engaging with it in truth. It's not engaging with it in the real, in the now, in reality. And so what's really helpful is for me to understand that and relate to it in that way. And it allows me to put importance on it in a different way, and understand that it can be really helpful, but it's also very imperfect. And whereas in the feeling realm of things, which I would still say is the feeling mind, it's the body mind, it's the mind that is showing up in the now and engaging with whatever is happening. That mind is looking at things like this. So, me talking to you, doing this podcast feels like this, is like this. Me going for a walk is like this. It's experiencing the thisness, the here-ness of the moment, of whatever that thing is. If I have pain in my body when I'm sitting meditating, a lot of times for the longer meditation, there's something ends up happening in my body where there's some kind of agitation or pain or drowsiness, and I will bring my concentration to that thing and just watch it and observe it and learn from it. And the thing that's happening is there's this kind of internal movement of that pain is like this. It's pulsating. It's here's where it is in my body. It feels like this. It has this kind of texture to it. And I actually, in my kind of feeling mind, I get as close to that sensation as I can so that I can really watch it and observe it and learn from it. And so that's kind of the feeling space. It's not necessarily emotions or even bodily sensations. It's everything that can be experienced from that moment or that experience or that person. Um, and I'll land the plane on this. Um, my friend Drew, um, whenever I would talk to him about people, he would always ask this question. Not always, a lot of times he would say, "What's it like to sit across the table from them?" And it was a really beautiful question because what it was doing is it was getting me out of the facts about this person or the kind of typical what do they do, you know, the kind of tertiary surface things. And Drew was like, what are they like? What's it feel like to be with them? And that's a huge posture shift, that is, I think even telling that story can kind of give you a sense more than I can communicate with words of the kind of movement of being in the thinking mind versus the movement of being in the feeling mind. Is you're in the moment observing, for this experience, observing that person, but you're also really reflecting on what was it like to be with them? What was that experience like? And what did it feel like to be in that city, in that restaurant, in that house, on that run, um, in that meditation time? Um, and is very, I think, natural for us to reflect in a very analytical thinking way and try to give the facts and give, well, I was doing this. Well, this is what was showing up and this was what was occurring. It's a lot more vulnerable, and I think it requires a deeper presence from us and a fuller showing up to say it was like this. It felt like this. Um, So, yeah, hope that's helpful. That's kind of the way that I process um, these things. And I hope that this video wasn't as choppy. I've still got to figure out what's going on because even now it says my stream health is poor. Um, and it sounds like it's kind of coming and going. So I'll have to figure out what's going on with that. Excuse me. Yeah, see, now it says it's excellent. What to do, what to do. So we'll keep troubleshooting, and even if this one's choppy, I'll still leave it up and try to make it better next time. I'm at 35 minutes, so I don't think I'm going to hop onto a new topic because I'd like to have breathing room for a different topic. So let's see if there's anything else I want to say before we hop off. tack onto the tail end of this. I will say that maybe right now, one of the most transformational things we can do is to create some time for us to get into a safe enough space to um, ask ourselves that question: what does anxiety feel like? And to try to get into a posture where we can honestly say, oh, my anxiety feels like this. And when I am really anxious, it feels like this in my body. At all times, anxiety feels like this. And even if we're describing it and what's coming out is the same stuff, just the act of showing up to our anxiety and feeling it and being with it and observing it and becoming aware of it um, is going to be really helpful. There are a lot of things we can do to lessen and lower our anxiety. The practice I did at the beginning for me is the most effective one, and the most sustainable one. But there is so much we can learn from our anxiety, and much of the ways that collectively and from a societal standpoint we're handling our anxiety is at best unhelpful, at worst really unhealthy. And we all have our different unhelpful ways of managing our anxiety. And I think the first movement to handling our anxiety and confusion in a healthy way is to just practice showing up to it and with it, and creating some space around it that is just for the sake of being with it and saying, anxiety is like this, um, without any agenda to fix it, any agenda to alleviate it, which is why we need a safe space to do that. And maybe that's the first movement, is just finding a safe space, like going for a walk or listening to music, or just being in a room or a space that we feel very safe and calm in, so that we can bring our attention to that experience of anxiety safely. And because I think all of us, if we live, especially, I can only speak for the US right now, but I feel like contextually, especially in the US, we're all experiencing a certain level of anxiety pretty much at all times. And there are very, 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 very few that are not. They just may not be aware of it. And it may not show up as much, but there's so much we can learn from it. So I'll say that, moving into a feeling space around our anxiety, I think, will become a very healing, empowering thing in our life if we choose to do it. Hope y'all have a beautiful day. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. I'm sorry for the choppiness. As always, please feedback, feedback, feedback. It's so helpful for me. I I do this definitely for myself to have a space to meander through these different topics. But I also do it to stay connected and engaged right now in our life, but also when I go back to my job, I'm going back to a lifestyle that has been and will continue to be very disconnected from a lot of people that I love. So this is an easy way for me to stay connected. So please let me know what you thought, felt, um, agreed with, didn't agree with. Um, I'm not I'm not trying to be and create a platform for people to come to me for the best perspectives on things. I'm just sharing my perspective, um, in a hope that other people will feel compelled to share theirs with me and us to be able to have kind of explorative dialogue on different things. So please respond, engage with it. That's what I'm wanting. I love y'all and hope you have a beautiful Saturday and an amazing August. Hope July was amazing. And yeah, thanks for watching if you did. Adios.